our first exhibition in 2009, the Ross Butler Agricultural Art of Ross Butler, Homegrown. In 2009, our theme is based on the 6 degrees of separation game attributed to Kevin Bacon. So most of the artists that you will see in our programming for the next few years will be from Woodstock or Oxford County, or have a direct link to Woodstock or Oxford County. And so there'll be artists from the community, and there'll be artists who were born and raised here, educated here, left, and are coming back. Before I introduce David Butler, the son of Ross Butler, and His Worship Mayor Michael Harding, there are a few things that I'd like to say, and a few people I'd like to acknowledge while I'm on the floor. Again, thank you for coming. There are a few people that I would like to thank and acknowledge. David Butler, he was wonderful to work with as usual, lots of fun, and very accommodating. He helped us shift the works to the gallery on Tuesday, and if any of you remember what the weather was like, we were referring to the works as Big Kite, Little Kite. And it was all in good humor, and thank you very much, David. You know, you're amazing to work with. I would like to thank the advisory committee. I call them my dream team. They keep
I thought there was council.
Well, they're dream team number 2. And they keep helping gallery staff and any of our patrons further the cause. I would like to thank the Friends of the Woodstock Art Gallery, who, again, are wonderful advocates for our facility and provide our refreshments at the openings. And they always hide in the background. Donna Steele, I see you there. Diana Gorbold, I see you there. And Karen's there, I can't see you, you'll have to show me. Karen's again. So today's refreshments are provided by the Friends, but basically by these 3 women. So thank you very much. I would like to thank the City of Woodstock for their ongoing support. And last but not least, I need to thank, I will. And I'd like to thank my staff. They make coming to work fun every day. They are also my dream team. And 2 of them aren't here today, but Stephanie, where are you?
Hiding.
Yes. So every exhibition we have lots of stories, and this one is no exception. Before I pass the floor over to His Worship Mayor Michael Harding to actually open this exhibition and to hear a few words from David, I would like to share my personal story about the Ross Butler works. In 2001 was the last time we had the works exhibited here. My oldest daughter, and my children, they know that I'm the curator, but they really don't know what I do. And I've dragged them to galleries and museums, and they appreciate it, but not. And so at the supper table one night, we were talking about what was going on at Mom's Work, and I mentioned that the Ross Butler works were coming to the gallery. And my oldest daughter, who was in her final years at the University of Guelph in the veterinary medicine program, knew who he was. So we were both really shocked. She thought that I knew more about the true type and the proportion theory than I did, and I thought she knew more about the actual true type images than she did. So that was just a wonderful example for me of how the visual arts extends or crosses over into other areas of study. And that's one of the things that, as a staff, we really try to promote within the education system. How the visual arts enhances science and math and language arts. So that was just a wonderful example of that for me. And so I hope everyone really enjoys these works. They are a treasure in Oxford County, and they have crossed a lot of boundaries. So thank you very much, David, for allowing us to exhibit them. And now I'm going to pass the floor over to His Worship, Mayor Michael Harding, who's over there behind Mr. George. Brian.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You know, that's for you, not for me. It's great to be here because I think that we're looking at a treasure trove of history in our community that has gone, I think, largely unrewarded, and it's great to have David back here to show them. And you talk about 1 degree of separation. As a child, I went to the Royal Winter Fair, and at least a couple of times. And I took along as a youngster my Brownie Hawkeye camera. It was a black. Anybody remember Brownie Hawkeye? Yeah. And I had my flash on, my big, those flashes used to be the bulbs, and anyway.
The blue dot.
I think the blue dot came later. I think it was an improvement. Anyway, there were 2 photographs that I treasured that I still have today, but couldn't locate them, unfortunately. But one was the Cisco Kid. Who remembers the Cisco Kid? And I have this great picture of the Cisco Kid who was at the Royal Winter Fair signing autographs. And my second picture appears on page 121 of this great little book here. And it's a picture of the Queen in butter. And as I remember that it was in a cooler. You look through a window to see it. And I have a picture of the Queen made out of butter. Caused a bit of a controversy in the UK because it was, butter was still rationed then, and it tells a great little story here about it. But those are the 2 pictures that I remember of the Royal Winter Fair. Would that qualify as 1 degree of separation?
I think so.
Because when I went the first time in your gallery, we were looking at the pictures, and there was a picture of the Queen in butter. Does that go under the term, what goes around comes around? Here I was in the home, the gallery of the person that actually made what I discovered as a little kid. And that was my association with agriculture. Of course, in Toronto, nobody knows where the cash end of the cow is. And we no longer know where fish come from. They must be square or rectangular because they're in sticks and things like that. So it was a momentous occasion for a little kid to be able to have this introduction, to the agricultural community. And there were cows and more cows and more cows. And little would I know that I would end up in a town that had a statue for a cow. And so, I do know the cash end of the cow. And in fact, when you leave Woodstock, you see the cash end of the cow, don't you? But when you arrive, you see the good part of the cow. We know that this community is struggling with the heritage that art galleries represent to us. And this gallery has, over time, been supported by City Council and has gone about telling the story of our community in many, many different ways. And if you haven't followed, there's one person I would have liked to have met in this gallery, and that would have been Florence Carlyle. I really would have, this is a 19 or 20-year-old that was totally hip, and I would have liked to have met that woman, because in the Paris school, she's an incredible storyteller, and so is this collection. It tells stories about who we are. And I think Woodstock owes a debt of gratitude to a thriving agricultural community. And it still is high in the income generation for Oxford County, but it's our heritage. And the wealth of the agricultural community was spent here in Woodstock. And if you've ever been to other communities across Ontario and southern Ontario, you can see that there was wealth in this community over time. The brick buildings, the kinds of things that when farmers and the agricultural community spent their money, they spent it here in Woodstock. And I think we stole the county seat away from Norwich, but don't tell them that, okay? They haven't forgotten, I don't think. And so Ross is a person I would have liked to have met too, because I think that he is part entrepreneur. Okay, he gets a commission from the Ontario government in the 30s to actually record what are the perfect animals that we have here in our community, and we're full of it. And I'm not full of it. We'll decide what it is later. But he's also a storyteller. And as you go and look at some of these paintings, these are the ones that personally I covet for the city of Woodstock. The storytelling components, the storytelling pictures that are here, and the great. What's the one that is on? I keep forgetting the names of it. The First Settler, is it called? First Settler.